Hello, can everyone hear me? Hello, everyone. This is Iram Zahra. I am currently working as a data scientist with the Entertainers. I completed my bachelor's in software engineering from International Islamic University, Islamabad in 2016. I have been working in industry for more than 4 years. I started my career with a startup as a core team member and a computer vision developer. Right after my graduation, after that, I joined Red Buffer as a machine learning engineer, and recently I switched to the Entertainer as a data scientist. In these 4 years, I have gained experience from a startup ecosystem to SMEs to corporates. And outside my day-to-day job, I love to build communities, empower others, and take initiatives um, to bring diversity and equity in our communities. And to fulfill my passion of empowering others, I am working with Google developers as a lead for GDG Cloud Islamabad, and also serving as a Women Tech Maker Ambassadors, which is also an initiative by Google. I am a certified I'm Remarkable facilitator. I recently got promoted to silver tier. I am also a level 8 Google local guide. And other things that I would love to do apart from my work are networking and public speaking, and I love to paint. And whenever I could get free time, that's what I do. So uh, this is going to be our agenda before actually going through the tips and tricks about the interview guidelines. I will go through the different roles in the in the data science domain, the data domain, I would say. So let's start from there. So I believe the first thing you must know and understand before going out there to look for a job is what exactly are you looking for? What exactly do you want? Do you really understand the job title, roles, and responsibilities? So I will start from explaining some very common roles in data because there is a lot of confusion about who does what. I have seen people choosing their titles without actually knowing the nature of the work they're supposed to be doing. Sometimes they don't even know if they are making the right choice. Is it aligned with what they want, or maybe they don't know what they want? Am I confusing you? I know. So let me try to clear things for you all. So one way that you can think about the distinction in data roles is whether they act before the data is collected or after the data is collected. For example, data engineers and data architects are responsible for operations before the data is collected, while the data analysts and data scientists are responsible for operations after the data is collected. So there is a lot of confusion between the roles of data engineers, data architects, data analysts, and data scientists. So I will go through them one by one, and I'll try my best to explain the differences between all these roles. So normally, data analysts and data scientists come in the same general domain. Gathering insights from data is what they do. But the data analyst is basically a junior role to the data scientist. Data analyst work is all about starting with the data with the with what the data tells you and about reporting facts rather than uncertainties. Coming up with a conclusion should not be the job of an analyst. That's the job of a data scientist. Data scientist, data analyst. Data analysts tend to develop performance metrics, reports, or what is there in the data, and convey those observations to others, while data scientists are geared towards making sure those observations actually carry statistical significance. A data scientist should be able to sift through data in the same way as an analyst, but also be able to apply statistical techniques in order to differentiate between signal and noise. It's very important. Being a data scientist, it's very important for you. So experienced data scientists especially need the ability to make decisions about which observation from a data analyst are worth following up on. They should understand what questions are worth investigating and how to answer those questions with further data gathering and running experiments. Another factor that differentiates data scientists from analysts is in their ability to apply machine learning to the data. Machine learning can be used in combination with other statistical techniques to move beyond descriptive analytics and into the realm of predictive analytics, making predictions about future events or outcomes. However, machine learning often requires a lot of data in order to make useful predictions. One of the main skills of a data scientist um, in applying machine learning is to anticipate which algorithms have the highest chance of being useful in each project they tackle. For the data analyst, a good rule of thumb is to think of data analysts as explorers. A good data analyst will have the curiosity and skills to investigate the data from multiple angles, performing cleaning and transformations uh, to look for trends in the data. They may find new paths for the company to explore, possibly identifying new areas where more data could be collected um, for deeper analysis, for more useful analysis. Data analysts are well versed not just by the ability to mine through data, but also be able to report their findings to others. An analyst should be able to create visualizations or use tools to create dashboards that convey to others what they have found in the data. Visualizations and dashboards should not only be for members of the data team, um, to understand the data. They are also for demonstrating findings to others outside of the team, and they could be your stakeholders or maybe clients. So the data engineer is a very important role because it doesn't really make sense to think about how to perform data analysis or data science until you actually have data to analyze. A data engineer is responsible for figuring out how to gather data, organize it, and maintain it. So they are a vital role to have on the data team. Data engineers frequently have to struggle with messy or incomplete data and make decisions on how that data will be processed and maintained. Data engineer needs to know how data applications are structured, test data pipelines, and monitor how data is being used. Done well, the data engineer's work makes sure that data users are able to access what they need and that their queries outputs are generated in timely fashion. While a data engineer is unlikely to be performing analysis themselves, other data roles are dependent on the data engineer's work in order to extract useful information from the data. The data architect role, so the role of data engineer has a fair overlap with that of a data architect. A data architect shares a lot of the same knowledge as the data engineer in knowing how data can be extracted from the data sources, how data should be transformed into useful forms, and how cleaned data can be stored. However, when general distinction that is made between the two roles is that a data architect has a responsibility for planning the architecture or framework in which the data will be processed and stored. The architect basically dictates the ways in which data should be collected, stored, and made available to users at a high level, while anticipating and adapting to the changing needs of those users. The data engineer then will be responsible for implementation and maintenance of the data pipeline following the architect's plan. The duties of the architect may sometimes fall to a senior data engineer or be a step in a data engineer's career path. So the last role I would like to discuss is the business analyst. The analyst is often a bit different from the rest of the team. While often less technically oriented, the analyst makes up for it with his or her deep knowledge of the different business processes. They master the skill of linking data insights to actionable business insights and is able to use storytelling techniques to spread the message across the entire organization. They, of, they often act as the intermediary between the business guys and the techies. So some of the responsibilities of a data analyst could be to understand what business does and how it does it, determine how to improve existing business processes, identify the steps or tasks to support the implementation of new features, design the new features to implement, analyze the impact of those newly implemented features. So now we can move on to the tips and tricks on how to ace a data science interview. So first I'll start with research. It is very important to understand uh, the designation and the job description provided by the organization. You really need to read it very, very carefully. It's very important. The job profile might specify skills, tools, and techniques required to fulfill the job requirements. It will help you to prepare for the interview. You will get an idea what exactly the recruiter is looking for. It is very important to know something about the company as well. The recruiter will expect you to know something about the company and expect you to, uh, to know why you will fit in the company. You need to be prepared to answer the most common questions like, what do you know about our company and why do you want to work here? So you need to be able to answer these two questions efficiently. Before the interview, before the interview, you need to review the company's website, particularly their about us section. Check out their LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc., to see what information the company is sharing, and you will also get an idea about the work environment and overall culture of the company. And most importantly, do not hesitate to contact your recruiter and ask them questions regarding the positions that you will be interviewing for. And if you don't know anything about the company or the position you're applying for, it gives a very bad impression and it will be considered as a huge red flag. So next is your digital presence. So creating a digital presence is a very crucial step if you're applying for a job in data science. So first of all, a LinkedIn profile, which looks professional to the core, well maintained, that specify work history with details about projects you have worked on. It's very important to have a professional LinkedIn profile. You have no idea. It's really important to build your LinkedIn profile, be active on your LinkedIn, post relevant stuff, and look professional. Next is a GitHub account. Well, for not just for a data scientist, for any developer, a GitHub account is a must to give the recruiter a first-hand look at projects and codes, which is more convincing than anything else. And if you don't have projects to add to your GitHub account, well, you can take help from Kaggle. Doing a wide range of projects on Kaggle will demonstrate your capabilities in data science techniques. So please do that. And lastly, Stack Overflow. Normally, we use Stack Overflow to find answers to for our questions and for our problems. But if you are active on Stack Overflow and you're helping people and you're answering questions, right? And you have a good reputation, it's a huge plus point to share your Stack Overflow profile with your recruiter as well. So a fine resume. Don't worry, we are not going to do a resume writing workshop here, but there's few points that I want to mention. So number one is your resume and your LinkedIn profile must be aligned. Yes, it's very important that the details on your resume, including your jobs, your timelines, your education, everything, this this should be everything on your resume should be aligned with your LinkedIn profile. ऐसा ना हो कि लिंक्डइन के ऊपर कुछ और नज़र आ रहा हो और आपके रिज्यूमे के ऊपर कुछ और नज़र आ रहा हो. And details of all the projects that you have worked on, they should be clearly mentioned on your resume. So I would, so you can mention them in two ways. Like there are two kinds of people if we talk about your resume: doer and an achiever. So doer is someone who has done a lot of work, right? Like a doer is someone who has a lot of experience, work experience, and an achiever is someone who might or might not have done a lot of work or uh, ga- or have gained a lot of experience, but whatever he or she did, it turned out to be an achievement. So make sure your resume present you as an achiever, right? So it's totally up to you how you are going to put your projects and your work experience on your resume. How are you going to write it? So you can present yourself as a doer or you can present yourself as an achiever. Let me give an example. Like, I'll give you three examples. For example, I have written on my resume that I worked on XYZ project, used ABC technologies. Next, I trained a forecasting model to predict blah blah using a Riemann profit. And third, worked on an XYZ forecasting project and improved it from 50% accuracy to achieve 90% accuracy using blah blah technologies and delivered or deployed the project on client server before the project deadline, and I got appreciation for that, right? So out of these three examples, the third example clearly says that I started something and then I gradually improved that project or the accuracy of the project, and then I in the end I managed to achieve what I wanted to achieve, right? So when you are putting your experience on your resume, that's how you should be writing your work experience. So make sure your resume presents you as an achiever, not as a doer, because there are a lot of people who are doing things, but there are very few who are achieving things. So you need to be an achiever. Lastly, always carry your well formatted resume, like hard copy, along with you. Some companies don't require it, but most still do. I personally don't prefer printing resumes because it's a waste of a paper, but who knows? So it's better to carry one copy with you just in case. And so, moving towards the more technical part of the interview, so good knowledge of data scientists. So a candidate must prepare about the variety of topics, of general topics such as machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing in general, and conceptual questions about these topics as well. Like for general questions would be something like difference between supervised versus unsupervised learning, machine learning versus deep learning, or KNN versus K-means. If I go a little into more technicalities of these questions, a recruiter can ask you, explain back propagation to me, explain how ReLU works, or ReLU versus leaky ReLU. What is the difference? How these two are different from each, are different, and how they work, and why do we use ReLU and why do we use leaky ReLU? What is a saturation in a neural net, and how do you avoid it? These are like a little bit more technical question rather than just remembering the definitions. It's it's one step ahead of theory. And then statistics and probability. When you're going for a data science interview, there are a few things that you need to revise and that you need to keep in your mind all the time when you're sitting for the interview. Some basic stats and probability about data science. For example, what are the p-values, correlations, mean, standard deviation, variance, probability distributions, how can you detect outliers, methods for the detecting outliers, stuff like that. So you should know these, and it's not a very big, a list. You can easily devise them, and you can easily practice, and you can easily clear your concepts around those stats and probability techniques. Next, you should know about A/B testing. Lastly, I have mentioned in a slides a case study and scenario-based questions and overall data science pipeline. I have explained them in details in my last slide, so let's skip them for now. But one more thing. A lot of questions can be asked about programming, general programming, problem solving related to the domain of the organization, and that is where the research regarding the company and job description comes in handy. And also, you should know your resume. Go through your resume and brush up all the projects you have done till date and all the skills and tools you have used in them. So you need to revise everything before going for the interview. So the next question is, how much data science or how much machine learning should you know, right? So you must be obviously, if you're going for an interview, someone would have asked for 1 year experience, 2 year experience, or maybe 5 year experience. So you must be wondering what kind of questions you will be asked, or how much do you actually need to know or study to get a job. So how much machine learning do you actually need to know for an interview? It's a tricky kind of a question, and it definitely depends on what kind of role you are interested in, and the job description. There is an endless amount of machine learning out there. You will never finish reading if you had to read them all. I think what many candidates kind of deal with is that they feel like that there is so much knowledge out there, they don't even know where to begin to start and study. So I would say that it doesn't actually have to be every single thing that you have to learn infinitely, right? So machine learning or data science interviews actually completely different from how it's actually framed in real practice. It highly depends upon what kind of a role you are interested in. If you're interested in more of a data science analytics, where you are doing a little bit of everything in data, the amount of machine learning that you have to know is more about applied machine learning. It's like if you are given a business problem, how can you apply ML to it and get the desired results? What are the kind of baseline things or baseline models that you need to know, like linear regression, random forest classification, supervised or unsupervised? And then there are general metrics, for example, precision recall, ROC curves. All those things are general baseline applied machine learning that you kind of uh, you kind of have to know, because they are within the realm of data science itself. If you and and if you are applying to more technical roles, more machine learning engineer, or more like research scientist, then that's where you get into more of the complicated advanced theory that deals with potentially deep neural nets, or deep learning. You need to be able to understand the theory, maths behind the algorithms, and also practice everything. So let me explain you different kind of data science interview questions. So first is modeling case study. So basically, there are 4 to 5 types of interview questions that I have most commonly seen. So first is your modeling case study. So this is more of the modeling portion of the machine learning interview. Generally, what happens is that they will give you a question such as describe um, how would you build a model to predict Uber's ETA after a rider's request arrives. When they give you a question like that, you basically have to walk through how you would build that model and all the different kind of steps you would take because it is a case study. You have to apply a common framework to the problem, like you would do to any other sort of business case study problem, clarifying the question, understanding the problem, asking is this a new model being deployed or is this improving an existing one, and then going through the features, model selections, classification metrics you would use. Basically, in case study based question, you actually need to talk about the whole process of machine learning and it's always good to practice such questions in a mock interview and understand the framework you should use. Next is your recommendation engine and search engines. This just understanding this is just understanding how recommendation engines work, how search engine works, what kind of matrix are used to understand both, and how would you build one from scratch, like the whole process, and also what kind of data would you need for in order to do that. Third is machine learning algorithm conceptual questions. These are the questions that are actually um, so this is digging deep into how machine learning models are built and what's actually underneath the hood. To common questions are like figuring out the difference between support factor machines and the gradient boosting algorithms, or understanding how do they actually generate the trees for random forests. So this is more of a technical side that you have to study, understand and remember a lot of definitions, obviously, and how they are actually used, right? Lastly, you have modeling scenarios. So these are the questions that are actually around a certain situation and how candidates can explain uh, how ML could be used to fix the problem. For example, um, you are given a model with 90% accuracy, right? You should you deploy it or not? So you are given a scenario here, and it prompts you to be able to ask you what would you do given the scenario and your machine learning or machine learning background. So it kind of so it is kind of testing the knowledge that you have in terms of applying machine learning to real life industry experience. Um so this kind of questions basically filter out people who don't have much experience within industry. So it's good to practice and understand different kinds of situations where modeling and machine learning is used, and the trade-offs between business decisions and model accuracies, and how you might relate machine learning models to different kind of stakeholders. Then we have some basic programming concepts, and these concepts are not just essential for data science, but these are essential for any kind of coding or programming interviews where you are going for more technical roles, be it a software engineer, be it a web developer, maybe a data scientist. These things are very important for you. You need to know all the data structure. If interviewer can give you any task to complete, and you should be able to justify and you should be able to explain why did you choose certain data structure, why didn't you choose the other one, right? You should be able to explain, you should be able to justify that choice you made was not mm, was not just a guess. You OOP concepts, they are very important. You need to be able to explain all the concepts in the object oriented programming, what exactly it is and why would you use it. Next is analysis of algorithms. You need to know the complexities of the algorithms because that's very important when you are writing codes and they're going into deployments. You need to know what kind of flow, what kind of algorithm, what kind of complexity you can afford, right? And जनरल मैथ्स इज मैथ्स 10th वाला मैथ्स जो आपका नॉर्मल मैथ्स होता है लाइक you in the interview they can give you a test to complete to do so it can have two parts basically maths part and then critical thinking and problem solving part. So in maths part they will ask you question like calculating the parameters and calculating percentages and stuff like that. In critical thinking and problem solving, they'll give you a question, a very confusing question where they'll be asking, a very messy question, and then you need and you and you will be actually thinking about the problem and solving it, and from your solution, the solution you will present in your test, they will basically judge you on like they will judge you about are you are you a person who can solve difficult problems, are you a person who can think and who can identify the loopholes. Mostly there are loopholes in those questions, and only the if you're thinking properly, only then you can identify those loopholes, and only then you can present a proper solution. And then there could be a different kind of solution. For the example, for one coding question I can write a code in and do and complete or solve the same problem in 15 lines, and there's some other there is another person who would solve the same problem in maybe 5 lines, right? So problem solving, critical thinking, both are equally important, and you can you can ace this part of the interview by just practicing. You all you need is to do practicing, and for practicing you can go to Codility, you can use Lead Code. They have like small problems in almost all the programming languages that are in these days. So you can practice, and then you'll be able to ace interviews, not just the small companies, even the Google uh, or Facebook, and these companies actually are more focused on data structure, analysis of algorithms, critical thinking, and problem solving skills. So if you want to work for a big company like that, you need to start from there, like actually the basics of programming. Now that you know everything, I have tried to explain at least all the technical part of your interview or the general thing that you should be taking care of. And at last, what you can do is, you can conduct practice interviews with a friend or family member and ask for their feedback. If you are a person who gets confused in the interviews, or sometimes people just don't feel very confident, so that's a very good way of doing this. You can ask your friends or your family uh, to help you in that. You can also record or videotape your responses, so you can review your answers and check your body language for that. So you can improve a lot here. Okay, so let's look at some of the most commonly asked questions and how you should tackle them. So first is, tell me about yourself. It seems like a very easy question. So first way to approach this question is to tell them your life story, which is something they are definitely not interested in. And best way to approach this is to discuss what your interests are related to the job and why your background makes you a perfect candidate. That's exactly what you need to explain uh, in this question. I have taken interviews where candidates have told me that they like to play cricket and blah blah stuff. And I mean, like, I'm not interested in this, but still, people make this mistake. So you need to be very careful about answering these very common and very simple questions. So next is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So it is easy to talk about your strengths, right? You're detail oriented and hardworking, team player, blah blah. But always support these qualities with an example. You cannot go out in an interview and say that you are a very hardworking person without actually justifying it. You know, everyone can Google nice words to add to their strengths. The important thing is you need to justify them, right? So coming towards weaknesses, a tip here is to never talk about your real weaknesses unless it's something you have defeated. Lastly, recruiter can ask you, walk me through your resume. So you should know everything on your resume, including the timelines of your previous jobs. If there is a gap in your resume, prepare well for explaining the gap, but do not get defensive. Right? And why you left the previous job. When asked why you left the previous job, never badmouth the organization, your manager, or their management style. It's a clear red flag. Switching jobs for better learning opportunities, good opportunities, growth opportunities are good enough reasons to give when you're being asked this question. Okay, so question the interviewer. So be ready to respond when you are asked, do you have any questions for me? Don't ever say no. Prepare a list of questions you want to ask, but just remember you are not just trying to get the job, but you are also interviewing the employer to assess whether the company or the position is a good fit for you or not. So utilize this opportunity. And being culturally fit. So in many companies, it is either a separate round or being culture fit is woven into all the rounds and all the interviewers. Um, so basically, you will be tested on this aspect the moment you enter the organization, or or your interview evaluation sheet. Basically, your interview evaluation sheet on your sheet is there is always a separate section for behavior and um, being a good fit. It doesn't matter if you're good technically or have all the right skills. If you are not a team player, or you get too defensive or offensive in an interview, it's clearly a red flag. So here, I hope that I my presentation was helpful for you. But still, if you need any sort of guidance, any sort of help, you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can just drop me messages if you have any questions. If you need, like, I'll be obviously answering your questions right now as well. But still, if you need, uh, yeah, okay. Here in Pakistan, it can be seen that the roles for business analyst and data analyst for most companies tends to overlap a lot. For instance, many BA jobs have often expect you to have a sound knowledge of a programming language like Python or R. Yeah, that's right. So the thing is, यहाँ पर कुछ ऐसा होता है कि when the recruiter and the companies are looking for people to hire, they try to hire those people, um, जिनको वो एक से ज़्यादा रोल्स में काम करवा सकते हैं basically. So it happens. And for startups, for example, I would say they also do that. They would hire a person who knows all of the data analyst side, machine learning or data science, rather than hiring hiring on three different positions or three different people. So it happens. And if you move towards big companies, definitely it it changes. What should be the salary expectation for data roles? Okay, so I cannot give you, because your salary, it highly depends upon your experience, your previous salary, the company you're applying for. Because if you're applying for a corporate, it's highly likely that you will get better pay. If you're applying for a startup, you won't get very good pay package. So first thing you need to know is you should consider before asking or before negotiating a salary for you, your your work experience, um, your skills or your tech stack, and you need to do the you need to research about the company, about their pay scales. um, you can ask people on LinkedIn what kind of salaries they are giving to you. मेरा नहीं ख्याल कि कोई एग्जैक्टली आपको बताएगा, but still you will get an idea about the salaries, and then you can negotiate. If I talk about salaries in general, so data scientists and machine learning engineers are earning better than other roles in the development, like for example, software engineer or a web developer. Data science में लोगों की पोजीशन बहुत बेहतर है. अच्छा, what about what should be the expected starting salary for a beginner as a data analyst? So starting salary, well, I personally I feel that it should be no less than 30,000. But this is something that I personally feel. I mean, like, I don't like those companies paying fresh graduates nothing, or maybe 10 or 15,000. ये ज्यादती है. So I अगर मेरे पर हो तो I would definitely refuse to work with any organization जो मुझे कम पे करे. Okay, so it should no it 30,000 से कभी भी कम नहीं होनी चाहिए. That's my personal opinion. So it's not the question of how much it should be. Some companies are just not paying fresh graduates anything. So that is it. This how we can tackle this all around their mindset of recruiters. Well, I don't know. It varies from company to company. Mostly, जिन companies में work culture अच्छा होता है, you can actually convey your message to your upper management that you were hired for this. For example, you were hired as a data analyst and you don't want to do machine learning or data science work, or if you were hired as a data scientist, you can refuse to work as a data analyst, right? I mean, like, आपकी जो job description है, आप उसमें ही रह के काम करना चाहते हैं. But if I talk about Pakistan, so यहाँ पे I don't think so that you have a choice. So all you can do is that you can convey your you can convey your concerns to your upper management very politely and see what they can do. I believe that if upper management or if your employers do not understand the simple thing, there's no point in working with them unless आपकी कोई मजबूरी है. There's looking for data related job. There's this common interview question for fresh candidates looking for data related jobs. Please tell me about an experience where you applied a data analysis technique in your personal life. Can you please guide me on what kind of examples can we present? Well, so अगर आपने घर में कभी कोई शादी प्लान किया है, तो मोस्टली जो हम लोग कर रहे थे वो डेटा एनालिसिस ही होता है, राइट? आप फ्रेंड से भी डेटा ले लेते हैं, नेबर से भी ले लेते हैं, आप सब रिश्तेदारों से भी ले लेते हैं, जिन जिन के घरों में शादियाँ या कोई फंक्शन हुआ होता है. देन यू एनालाइज ऑल द डेटा, लाइक कौन से हॉल में हमें खाना, कौन सा हॉल बेहतर है, इन बेहतर किस तरह से है, खाने में, डेकोर में, प्राइस वाइज. और उसके अंदर भी आपने अपना, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई कैन अफोर्ड वेरी एक्सपेंसिव हॉल, ऑब्वियसली आई वुड रिजेक्ट ऑल द हॉल्स जो कि सस्ते हों और ज़्यादा प्यारे ना हो. आई कैन मैं अपने पैसे ज़ाया कर सकती हूँ, सो आई विल डू दैट. बट इफ़ यू कैन नॉट, सो इवेंचुअली आप डिसाइड किस तरह से करते हो कि बेसिकली आपने क्या एंड पर डिसीजन लिया. सो इट्स ऑल बेस्ड ऑन डेटा. डेटा कलेक्ट करते हैं आप अपने सराउंडिंग से, फ्रेंड्स से, एंड देन यू डिसाइड कि अच्छा इसमें ये मसला है, इसमें ये मसला है, इसमें ये मसला है, ओके ये वाला मेरे मेरी जेब के साथ अलाइन हो रहा है, सो आई विल चूज दैट वन. सो शादी हॉल वाली एग्जांपल is the best example you can give to your recruiter. Okay, as a fresher in this field, what is the best way to present yourself when you don't have real-time projects, just basic ones? मैंने अभी प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया था that you can participate in Kaggle competitions. You can work on the projects from Kaggle. वहाँ से डेटा सेट लो, उस पर काम करो, अपनी गिटहब की प्रोफाइल बिल्ड करो. क्योंकि सिर्फ कोर्सेज ले लेने से यू वोंट गेट अ जॉब, राइट? यू नीड हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस बेसिकली. सो आप कोर्सेज लें, आप पढ़ें, आप सीखें, आप आर्टिकल्स रीड करें, but you need to implement whatever you have learned. So Kaggle is the best thing for you. अपने GitHub प्रोफाइल के ऊपर आप Kaggle पे प्रोजेक्ट्स करो, आप उसको अपने GitHub प्रोफाइल के ऊपर डालो, और जब आप अप्लाई करो तो आप अपने GitHub प्रोफाइल का लिंक, अपने लिंक्डइन का लिंक जो है वो अपने रिक्रूटर के साथ अप्लाई करते वक्त शेयर करो. अपने सीवी के ऊपर भी डाल सकते हैं हम. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, रिक्रूटर विजिट करते हैं आपका लिंक्डइन भी, आपका GitHub पे. Like for data roles, if you find the job market is flooded, huh? What freelancing like for data roles if you find the job market is flooded? मैंने ज़िंदगी में कभी फ्रीलांसिंग नहीं किया है, सो आई कैन नॉट बहुत ज़्यादा मैं आपको इसमें हेल्प नहीं कर सकती हूँ कि फ्रीलांसिंग करनी चाहिए या नहीं करनी चाहिए, या फ्रीलांसिंग मार्केट कैसी है. There is a recruiter bias I have seen in Islamabad favoring their university juniors as employees. How can we defeat this mentality? Yeah, that's true. ऐसा होता है. आप फेवरेटिज्म हर जगह देखोगे, यूनिवर्सिटीज से हो, अपनी एक्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से आ रहा हो कोई बंदा, वो उसको कर लेते हैं प्रेफर. बट ट्रस्ट मी, एक दफ़ा ऐसा होएगा, हर दफ़ा ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. अपनी जॉब किसी एक जगह पे आपके साथ इस तरह से होगा कि किसी और को प्रेफरेंस दे दी गई जस्ट बिकॉज उसकी यूनिवर्सिटी अच्छी थी या उसकी यूनिवर्सिटी वो जूनियर था. पर हर जगह ऐसा नहीं होता, और कोई भी अक्लमंद रिक्रूटर जो एक्चुअली अपनी कंपनी के फायदे के लिए रिक्रूट करा, वो ऐसे हरकत नहीं करता कभी भी. तो अगेन मैं यही कहूँगी कि आप जब किसी कंपनी के लिए अप्लाई करते हैं, उसको सर्च करें, के सोशल मीडिया प्रोफाइल्स पर जाए, लिंक्डइन पे लोगों को ट्रैक करें, एंड देन आस्क देम अबाउट द कल्चर, द एनवायरनमेंट, एंड यू विल डेफिनेटली नो व्हाट टाइप ऑफ पीपल दे आर. तो आपको पहले से ही पता होगा. Are there any specific projects that should be on the resume of the data analyst? Specific as in like प्रोजेक्ट किसी भी तरह के हो सकते हैं. आपने डिफरेंट डेटा सेट्स ऑनलाइन ले लिए, आपने उसके ऊपर किसी भी किस्म के एनालिसिस रन किया. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल अगर वो कैंसर का डेटा सेट है, उस पर किस तरह का एनालिसिस रन होगा, किस तरह के लोग, किस एज के लोग, किस जो है वो ज़्यादा कैंसर, उनको कैंसर हो रहा है, इस टाइप की चीज़ें कर सकते हैं. अगर मेडिसिन का डेटा है तो आप उस पर उस हिसाब से ही अपना एनालिसिस रन कर रहे होगे. बीइंग अ डेटा एनालिस्ट, आप ये देख लो कि मैंने अपनी अभी बताया भी था स्लाइड्स के अंदर कि you need to be able to build dashboard visualization. That is something very important as well. आप डैशबोर्ड बना के शेयर कर सकते हो. अभी कोविड चल रहा था, लोगों ने इतने प्रोजेक्ट्स किए हैं इसके ऊपर. आई थिंक ऑलमोस्ट सब बच्चों ने डैशबोर्ड बनाए हैं टैबलो के ऊपर कोरोना रिलेटेड. सो दे एक्चुअली डिड समथिंग, और वो रियल डेटा था. सो इस तरह के डेटा से फ़ायदा होता है. क्रिकेट मैच आ रहा होता है, फुटबॉल मैच आ रहा होता है, आप उसका डेटा लेके उस पर एनालिसिस रन कर सकते हो, कौन सी टीम जीत रही है, क्या ट्रेंड चल रहे हैं. सो यू कैन ऐड projects like that on your resume. If in an interview they ask for a project, can we show them a project you have completed in an online course? Um, if you how can you show that project, right? वो आपके GitHub पर ही होगा. If it's on your GitHub, yes, obviously you can show them the project that you have completed in an online course. But again, it depends. Recruiter, for example, if I'm a recruiter, मैं ये सोच सकती हूँ कि there are ये एक कोर्स है तो obviously solutions available होंगे online. So, but obviously, I'll ask questions, technical questions, conceptual questions from the projects that you have done or from the projects that you have mentioned on your CV, and then I'll know कि आप किस level पे हो, आपका skill level क्या है, and should I hire you or not? Or it's not a, and one more thing, it's not always about the experience. um, learning ability होती है. You need to convince your recruiter that you're a good learner and you're a quick learner. आप एग्जांपल्स दे के एक्सप्लेन करेंगे, उसको जस्टिफाई करना प्रॉब्ली ऑब्वियसली कहने से तो कोई नहीं मानता. So that's one more thing that you should demonstrate during your interview uh, with the recruiter. उसमें आप चाहे अपना प्रोजेक्ट कोर्स वाला दिखाओ या आपने साइड प्रोजेक्ट किया हो, डिपेंड्स. Okay, so if there are no more questions, um, should I wait for should I wait for questions? Okay, so I guess no more questions. Thank you so much. Um, if you need any questions, अगर आपको बाद में किसी help की ज़रूरत पड़ती, you can definitely drop a message on my LinkedIn. I'll try to respond back as soon as possible. Thank you so much.